Hello everybody and welcome to another Kerfuffle Showcase exclusive. And it's an old friend, an old face. And I mean that in the nicest possible way before you start having a go at me. Amy, how are you?
I'm very good, thank you. Very well.
There's all sort of thing. You're back.
Yep.
ViewMyChain's back.
Yep.
Which are we going to start with first?
Probably the business side of things.
Okay,
let's do that.
You know, I very rarely do this. I like these little pacemaker things as well. These are very professional. So, and also great being in the fresh here as well, isn't it?
Yes,
good.
Lovely.
So, talk me through. Okay, so ViewMyChain was a product that has, I think it's fair to say, has been around a while, hasn't it? Now, why has it taken so long to hit sort of traction? I suppose would be the key question.
I think so. Obviously, when they launched around 2018, we had, well, not me, but they had a lot of agents using it. And I think with all prop techs, you go into that feedback mode of wanting to understand what agents think of it, how it can improve, what we can do better. And it was very much, I think, sort of, although we were getting some of the milestones updated, it was still very much a manual sales progression system or chain management system.
Yeah.
So what they did was kind of go into stealth mode for a couple of years and have worked really hard at developing the product.
Hang on, is stealth mode like when I left Reaper and I just disappeared? Well, I never really disappeared.
Well, they kind of disappeared. Yes, they didn't make any sales. You know, they kind of pulled it off the shelf.
And that was just to look under the hood and really figure out what to do.
Yeah, with all the sort of the comments and insight I think they'd gathered from conveyancers and estate agents initially from the first launch, and I think it was the right thing to do. And then when I joined at the beginning of the summer back in June. They were almost ready to relaunch, and we relaunched obviously very recently. And it's not a manual chain progression tool anymore.
And that's massive, isn't it? I mean, let's be honest, that's the... So, I mean, what are you expecting from it? I mean, clearly you know PropTech, as we said, synonymous with certain brands and everything else. And let's just say they've done very well to get you, because you were not in short supply, were you, of job offers out there. So... actually, let's take it back a bit there. What attracted you to it? What was the thing that made you think, actually, ViewMyChain is where I want to be putting my time at the moment?
Yeah, a couple of things. I'm firstly the people. Although everyone in our world is generally lovely, I really gelled with Ian and Paul. I just really liked the way they proposed everything to me, and also felt really very reassured. With regards to certain aspects of the role as well. And then secondly, the product. You know, for me, in the prop tech world, a lot of the time, one thing you get fed up of hearing in the prop tech world is, can you offer exclusivity? And it's just like, no, look,
you've just made the kerfuffle exclusivity offer I was going to ask you now really, really difficult. So thank you. I'm going to think of a different way to present that to you later on. Okay. Yes. Do you mean exclusivity though in terms of the agent saying, look, I need to have this exclusive,
in my patch.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And a lot of companies go down that route, don't they? And they find themselves hitting a brick wall. It's great in the early days, but actually they hit a brick wall and it actually stops the company from developing and, dare I say it, going any further forwards, doesn't
absolutely.
it? Yeah.
You can only have if you go that route, you can only have one agent in each town or postcode, so it does restrict you.
But this one, you felt didn't suffer from that kind.
No, I really. So after conversations with the team, it was very clear that this, if you want to call it prop tech, sort of setup was very much. You almost want you want your competitors on it, and. I think what's lovely, as a lot of my role I see is actually, look, we're one industry, and when a property goes under offer, goes sold subject to contract, it's that time where we need to work together as an industry. Mortgage advisors, conveyancers, solicitors, conveyancers, the estate agent, everybody involved actually needs to work together to get that property through to exchange.
Oh, Amy, there's not a problem here, though, is there?
No, it's only 152 days now, so I mean, it's fine.
It is, yeah. There's nothing to really, yeah. If that doesn't jump out at you and say, I think we're past the point of needing to work together, aren't we? Yeah.
It's definitely a real problem, and I think having been an agent, when I left agency, I think the average was around, it hovered between kind of 10, 12 weeks. And for it to be more than that, I remember how frustrating it was back then for it to be that long.
Yeah,
So now
yeah, it's not
it's
like
just
it was.
like,
It wasn't like it was perfect then, was it?
No.
Yeah, yeah, exactly right. And so that is a really interesting one. So we'll come back to how you and I are trying to change the industry and our different things. That's magnanimous and everything. But the key element here is it absolutely is, isn't it? You need this is there are sometimes those products that you want to squirrel away. Never tell even your peers and your friends within the industry what you're using. This one is a collaborative one where it can only help when yes your peers but also your competitors use it. Talk us through just that element of that.
I think the interesting thing is you want your competitors using it, but you don't need them to be using it. So the data that is already on the platform is really good. The strategic partners that we have are big national companies. We've got a lot of data coming into the platform. So we always want more data. Don't get me wrong. The more people that plug in, of course, the better it's going to get. But it's not like a manual sales progression tool where you need your competitors on it to have the visibility and that data coming through, because it's already automatic. But to get more would be fantastic.
And you can't tell me, and in fact you said you would specifically batter me if I did do it, but you are bringing on some massive agents over the next few weeks and months that are only going to help facilitate that and add those. What did you use? Data lakes? Is it data pools? I don't know.
And I think the big the big national company that's been working with ViewMyChain for the last couple of years, our anchor client, so to speak, they are wanting to help us promote ViewMyChain. They've already done video testimonials with me very recently for us to use. They want to help us actually promote ViewMyChain and get it out there, which is actually lovely.
So they've got past
really
that whole
reassuring.
competitive thing. They realise that they want to. Okay. That it's going to help everybody there. So what else has changed? Talk us to some people who may have seen it. V1. How has V2 taken a step forward?
So key features, if you like. One of the ones that I love, which is not to do with it is to do with the chain, but we alert agents to fall throughs up and down the whole chain. So you'll come in the morning, and if anything's fallen out of bed in the last 24 hours, anywhere in the chain that you're involved with, you'll know about it. Lagging searches, which again I really like. So anything within the chain that hasn't had the search, or any property that hasn't had their searches ordered within 14 days of going under offer, again we alert you to that, no matter where it is in the chain.
Very nice.
And then the two sort of data fundamentals are the chain links are automatically sort of provided. So we're hovering around 50% of chain links now being automatically generated. So when you look up your property that's just gone under offer, what your sales progressor does, the chain sort of addresses either side. 50% of the time are going to be there. So there's a lot more minimal manual entry required with actually adding your chain links in. And then obviously the data that's coming in, so the key milestone data with regards to the contracts being sent out, searches being applied for, their estimated delivery date back in, up and down the chain. So if you've got someone moving down to the West Country and the searches are taking 8 weeks, but they're only taking 2 weeks where you are, well, you've got to manage your sellers' expectations that actually you're 8 weeks away, not 2 weeks away.
So this is all about transparency of information, isn't it? And that ability that there isn't this grey area, or if there is, it's massively minimised from the normal experience.
And then funding as well. So funding, we know when mortgage applications are applied for and when mortgage offers are out. So the main key milestones, and that's up and down the whole chain. So I think there's two sort of benefits that I love. So firstly, it's the consumer journey. The customer journey improves because there's nothing more irritating as a buyer or seller. You ring up your estate agent, ask for an update, and they have to say, let me make some phone calls and I'll get back to you. Whereas in this instance, hopefully they can look at the chain and say, yep, I can see the searches have been ordered there. We've got the mortgage offer out on this one, and give an instant update a lot easier and quicker. So efficiency, hopefully, will improve. A bit of time saving. And then secondly, that whole working smarter. So, you're improving your customer journey, and then you're improving the efficiency of your sales progression team or your negotiators or whoever it is that does the sales progression. Not, of course, forgetting the conveyancers, because we are selling ViewMyChain to
Well,
conveyancers.
you mentioned, you know, looking after your customers and obviously in the B2C.
Yeah.
So you've got, and what's complex about this is you've got a variety of, I always hate the phrase, but stakeholders, haven't you? As you said, you've got the B2C elements of that. You've got the estate agents. You can keep layering on top of this, but I suppose therein comes the benefit is if you are having these conversations with people, that finally it should all start working a bit better together, shouldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, you know, with conveyancers, the conversations I've had with conveyancers recently, because I haven't spoken to conveyancers for years now, they've not been a part of my world, you know, previously and since I left agency. So to speak with them again, and what's fascinating is they have even less of a view of what's going on up and down the chain than the estate agent does, because they only literally they work on their link
Yeah.
of the chain, and that's it. They get their bit ready. So for them to have visibility of, you know, with regards to their daily workflows, thinking, well, actually, look, searches were way behind on the link above, so let me just park that for a couple of days and work on these couple of cases which are urgent and important.
Yeah.
So again, for efficiency for conveyancers and for them to have that visibility up and down the chain of what's actually going on is pretty cool.
Yeah, massive. And going back to the consumer there, what the consumer feedback that you get from this, you were just talking about that, is because so often they're in the dark as to just what's going. You know, you ask many people, they don't even still understand the concept of chains and things like that. So how is it enlightening them? Is it really starting to give them a bit more confidence in this, in what is obviously a very tricky process?
Yeah, I think that, I mean, we've got obviously a really exciting launch, hopefully towards the end of this year, which is a consumer app version of ViewMyChain.
Lovely,
so
yeah.
for estate agents to provide their customers and their clients a full chain view, and so that, you know, someone who's techie and wanting to be kept up to date will literally be able to look at the app and see what's going on straight away. So that we're hoping will save a lot of.
That's massive though, isn't it, as well?
calls
Because
and
then you're beating
emails.
the email, which, as we know, is just such a difficult place to stand out in these days, in that inbox there. You get into their phone though, and you've got a fighting chance of getting that attention back, haven't you?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, you know, there's, having done sales progression, there's also an element where customers think that you're trying to sort of not lie to them, but just maybe cover stuff up, try and make it sound like everything's kind of delayed or whatever for someone else's reason, or
If you're already suspicious,
having that transparency.
if you're already
with your
suspicious of an
clients.
industry,
Yeah,
and
exactly
something goes wrong there, isn't it? You are going to naturally, obviously, fall into those base suspicions. So it's not, that's the difficulty in all of this, isn't it?
So when you say, look, the searches done in the West Country are taking 8 weeks, they'll be able to see it on their phone. Oh yeah, they are.
That's great. Yeah, that's really, really good.
Yeah.
So talk to us as well. So we've spoken about, you know, a lot of the information already being in there. So what part do the CRMs play in all this? What are you doing differently that you weren't doing previously? I'm guessing that conversations must have been ongoing with a number of the major ones.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think another thing I loved about ViewMyChain was it having sort of dabbled in the API world previously. It's very complicated. But my very simple understanding is that ViewMyChain was
remember who you're talking to?
Yeah, I know.
I invented simple.
Yeah,
So okay.
We'll get there. It was built API first.
Yep.
So, and our platform, our actual logon platform, pulls all the data from our API. So we can literally plug in anywhere. Our API is now 100% ready to go and can be plugged into any CRM, any case management system, for obviously conveyancers, which is super helpful. And yeah, we're talking to the main players, which I'm sure we'll have lots of conversations with. But the integrations that we're doing with them are quite deep. They're on a deeper level.
They're going to need to be, aren't they, as well? What's really fascinating, though, and what I think the huge upside for you, which I'm sure you guys have already got, is that actually this area has been an area that CRMs haven't done particularly well recently because of the complexity, because of, you know, there's not a lot of love to be loved in that part of it. A lot of them in the main packages out there haven't changed in a number of years.
No, and again, it's a very manual process. You put your chain in, and then you put chain notes, and you can update and tick off each milestone as it happens. And it's been interesting for me looking at different CRMs, and actually some are a lot better than others. Some don't even have a sales progression system, which
Do they call that a minimalist UI, or is
I've
that
spoken to a couple of agents recently, and they literally run an Excel spreadsheet on their sales progression.
the
side
amount of
things. So
businesses?
it's-
You know,
yeah.
I keep we're both big fans of all the different awards and EO Masters and everything else there. One day, Excel will win Supplier of the Year because the amount of businesses you go in there, and whatever key part of it is still being run by.
Yeah.
I think that's when we'll know we'll have done our job, when nobody's using Excel anymore. But I don't
Yeah.
think that day's coming anytime soon, is
Absolutely,
it?
absolutely. Yeah, it's been fascinating, and you know what this has done for me is open up a lot of really awesome conversations.
But talk to us about that. So, what conversations? Because this is clearly an area that has suffered from. This is the way it's always been done, hasn't it? And I almost think that a lot of agents have just given up on there being light at the end of the tunnel, don't they? So, I think we had a conversation off camera before, one of the ones we're allowed to talk about, and you were talking about some of the shock surprise in a really, really good way about what is possible about ViewMyChain now these days.
Yeah, I think it's look, we're not the finished product. I mean, what prop tech is actually finished? All of us keep evolving and evolving and going and going.
Let me
and
give the
going.
caveat. We're at the start of a journey.
Yeah, we're at the
Yeah,
start
at
of
the start
journey.
of a journey.
Well, no,
Stay with us.
2018 was the start of the journey.
Yeah.
But it's, you know, it's going to be a product that I think evolves to the point where agents are going to want to give it to their customers, their buyers and sellers, which I think is really awesome. And I think, yeah, sales progression has been forgotten. There's so much tech out there for business winning, for prospecting, for data, for every aspect of agency to help agents win the business. Then there's all the lettings tech, which is incredible what's out there now, all the deposit stuff and just endless referencing bits and pieces, etc. Money laundering is now massive in the tech world as well, and all the ID stuff.
I think we mean anti-money laundering, don't we?
Yeah, it's a bit money laundering, it's fine. And then sales progression just seems to be this, it's just still stuck in the dark ages of you do your sales memo, you manually input your chain onto your CRM, and then somebody, you know, whether it's a sales progression person or a negotiator or a branch manager, progresses it through with the solicitor. And there's just no tech out there that actually helps people with sales progression.
No.
You know, and I spoke with, give him a big shout out, Richard from ASAP.
Yeah, brilliant.
They do a fantastic
they
job.
do a really good job. Yeah.
And they're doing an awesome, you know, rate of transaction time.
They're doing about 100 days, aren't they? Which I know Richard was really apologetic about, but of course, actually, you know, compared to, as we were talking about their national averages, you know, you're doing fantastic work, aren't you?
Absolutely, and I think it's because they're obviously a purely dedicated sales progression, and you know, I
specialism.
Yeah, and I feel for agents that don't have that capability at the moment to be able to actually have a dedicated sales progression person. But I think the great thing about ViewMyChain is it just, no matter where you are in the business, you know, even for a branch manager like myself, I would have, you know, been able to just look at it and seen the progress of where I am with all my cases without actually necessarily bothering someone at my head office to try and get updates on bits and pieces as well. So internally, it's actually quite cool as well.
But what's brilliant about this is you don't have to get into all those quite techie sort of adoption curves, don't we? But that is where this has gone through, and that's absolutely normal. Most tech does go through that natural kind of thing. So we're way beyond a minimum viable product stage and everything else. But that key one now comes from, actually, as we were saying before, is it's going to deliver massive benefits to any agent now that's going to be using it. But there's also this massive win coming, isn't there? When you hit that critical mass, when enough people are using it and everything else, that this just becomes indispensable.
Yeah, I mean, the data is really, really good. You know, for example, we're pulling in about 85% of the searches information now. So look, it's really good. But it can always be better. We want to hit 100%. So yeah, of course, the more people that plug in, of course, it's going to get better. That just goes without saying.
Cool. Okay. So Amy, let's talk about here. Obviously, there are other solutions out there in terms of there. This is not an opportunity to smack anyone down or anything like that. But just summarise for us again where you feel the key differences between ViewMyChain and the other ones that are out there at the moment.
I think probably we're purely focused on the chain. And
the clue is in the
name. Automation of kind of the data and the key milestones coming in on the chain and the automatic chain links. I think it's all down to the data and the automation, and a lot of the strategic data partnerships we've got, with some of the big players in this country that are providing us with substantial data to make sure that it's not a fully manual process.
Yeah, yeah. And it's that classic. I mean, this is again comes from the strength of the people who have put this together. They understand data implicitly, don't they?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Sometimes you get a feeling that whether it's come from the conveyancing side of things or the prop tech side of things, that it's missed that almost key element of it, of how you manipulate that data to the best possible use. So talk to us about talk to us, Amy, then in terms of, I mean, what's next then for ViewMyChain? Clearly, you've got a lot of the big clients to come on board, the big CRM, and I think you were saying earlier there's other CRM ones to come into play as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got 4 of the bigger CRMs sort of teed up, hopefully to be done by the end of this year. We might trickle just over into next year. Tech.
Yeah.
But certainly, I think
it'll be weeks. It'll be weeks rather than months. Was the standard line? I think.
I think 3 out of the 4 will definitely be done.
But that covers a large percentage of the market.
Yeah, 100%. Probably about 40% in total.
That's big. Yeah, it's great.
So that'd be really cool. And then other things that are coming up. So we've mentioned the consumer app. So we ideally want to get that out prior to Christmas.
Yeah.
And that for me is really important because obviously for estate agents to be able to discuss that with their buyers and sellers, it's another tool in their toolkit to hopefully impress potential sellers with. And then we've also got a dashboard launching beginning of next year.
Everyone needs a dashboard. Love a dashboard.
Need a dashboard, and we might even throw in some pie charts just to throw Chris
take that, Watkins.
But yeah, I think for me it'd be super cool for a sales progressor to log into their system at the beginning of the day and actually see, right, have I had any fall throughs that I need to work on straight away? What lagging searches do I have? Are they, if they want them, maybe targets? So are they on track for the month, the quarter, the year, whatever it might be? So I think a dashboard for a sales progression dashboard is quite exciting.
And I never thought I'd heard myself say that, but I agree with you. At what stage are you going to be able to quantify I know it's always a difficult one with ROI and everything else, and we obviously have to stick away from win one more instruction. We haven't got to worry about that here. But when do you feel you're going to be able to get some really good metrics about the efficiency savings, those lower fall throughs and things like that?
I'm actually very grateful that we've already got an ROI calculator.
Oh, okay.
So our good friends at 20CI and 20A have put that together. They use something quite similar. And yeah, it's fantastic. So we can basically, using the 20CI data, I can work out basically
how do people find out about that? So they need to sit down with you in a meeting and then just...
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, sit down with us, talk, obviously the cost of ViewMyChain very much depends on, how many branches you have, how many completions you do per month.
Yep.
It's a whole calculation in itself. It's not as straightforward as per user or per branch.
Yeah.
But have a meeting with us and we'll run through everything and we'll show you
great stuff
what it does.
Sounds really good. So to summarise again then, let's just have a look here. Lower fall throughs, faster completions, less wastage and duplication of effort and everything else there. And crucially, you should have done a magic 3, but I'll go for 4. Even better stuff to come as well.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay, good. So how do people find out then, Amy? They need to drop your line clearly. Let me go obviously to their fantastic landing page, ViewMyChain on kerfuffle.com.
Absolutely.
Go there. That's where you're going to be seeing all the happy clients giving the feedback from that as well. Remember, they're never anonymised. Actually, people have to, put their names to how good this is. And there's an inquiry button on there, or else. How else can they get to you?
If they want a little bit more information, we've got quite a cool video on our website that explains a lot more. Just visit viewmychain.com. Our contact details are on there, or you can find me or any of my colleagues on the usual.
Yeah, because you're quite prevalent on social media, aren't you? So
no, never.
Great. Well, look, so there's a couple of things we need to do. Is we want to keep you updated. You're obviously going to let us. I'm not going to have to to chase you, am I, for the big client wins? I'm pretty sure you're going to be.
We'll be
there. And also, we really need to. I really want to understand as well more and more of those CRM ones, because I think from what we were talking about, that's going to be a critical factor in terms of how this goes forward. This isn't some of the integrations, let's be honest, out there in PropTech world could be a little bit underwhelming. It feels a little bit more like, well, you're just sending an email here, but what you're doing here is really deep and intertwined with the key elements of the CRM, isn't it? Which is where you get the biggest wins normally.
Yeah, absolutely. They are deep dive integrations.
Good. Well, you can even demonstrate to me at some stage, and I'll have to pretend that I even know what a CRM system looks like. So that's brilliant. Right. Well, for today, absolutely fantastic. Thank you very much, and we'll catch up with you soon.
Absolutely.
Cheers.